All right, you guys ready to get started? Yay. All right, welcome to the Billionaires Club meetup group here. So let's take a moment, let go of the day, kind of shift into the present moment, come forward into the now.
You said billionaire, not billionaire.
Yeah, I stumbled. Times 1,000, man. If you got $1 million, things are going okay, huh? So everything's about the stepping stone. I was actually thinking at some point naming it the Trillionaires Club in case somebody actually was a billionaire in here. I was going to give these guys something to reach for outside of your comfort zone. So far as I know, out of 1,500 members, we don't have any billionaires. Of course, I don't know if anybody would share that with me. So set your intention. What do you want to get out of the meeting today? Why are you here? What brought you here on this incredibly hot, beautiful day?
Looks like Kathy hit it.
What's that?
Did you have a question, Kathy?
I was to make a comment about that trillionaires thing.
Yeah.
It's not about money, it's about abundance.
Abundance,
there you
that's
go.
it.
And it's a mindset, right? Abundance is a mindset. Money is just a vehicle to get us what we want. It doesn't have any intrinsic value on its own. Good point, Kathy.
Yes. Well taken.
So set your intention and then let it go. See what happens. So who's new to the Billionaires Club? Haven't been here to a meeting before? About 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay.
Yeah, a few.
Wonderful. Thank you for coming. Who's new to the law of attraction? It's usually a couple people. 1, no? Okay, couple, 3.
2, good.
Yeah, good. That's about normal. Usually we have more new members to the Billionaires Club, so we got a lot of repeat guests. We actually had 46 people RSVP, and so probably a lot of people out there burning up in their cars, stuck in traffic. So you were the guys who made it here. So law of attraction will kind of add to the conversation as needed. This is a free-form group. We have stuff we're going to talk about, of course, but this is your group. So whatever's on your mind, whatever comes up in the conversation, you get inspired, you have a question, something doesn't make sense. There are no dumb questions in this room. Right? The dumb question is the one that doesn't get asked. Because if you got something that doesn't make sense to you, there's probably other people in the room it doesn't make sense to. Because vibrationally speaking, it's your first law of attraction lesson, you guys are all on the same frequency roughly right now, or you wouldn't be in this room. That's how law of attraction works. Everything is a rendezvous point. So trust that if something comes up for you, then bring it up. Bless you. So I'm Kevin Young. I'm a partner with my lovely wife Suzanne in personal success programs. We do coaching and training in the law of attraction, spiritual self-empowerment. I do business coaching for teams and executives and so forth. And we have a business in Novi, Michigan. Let's see. Mimi looks like she didn't make it today. She's sort of our third in command. She's a professional speaker and coach. She's been going all over the place, crazy these days. Our volunteer staff, we got Kathy, who you met in the back.
Kathy in the back, yay, Kathy.
Susan is at the table with Mary Ellen, I think is still at the table there. Do we have anybody else? I think that's it here today. Those are our volunteers. We always like to give them a round of applause because we couldn't do this without them.
Yay.
Thank you, guys. It's all volunteer operation here.
We appreciate you.
Very much. So we've got a new mission statement. I've expanded it from what it used to be because we're expanding. We've started with Facebook Live now. We're broadcasting into the Facebook group that I don't know if you guys are all part of the Facebook group. If you're not, let us know. We'll get you on board. Because you can go there and you can actually watch these now. Well, this is the third one I think we've done. We've got the audio now piped into the PA system, so it should be a really good quality signal. Our mission is now expanding a bit. We've got somebody who's in Traverse City right now listening in. I know there are a few others, and our expectation is that that is actually going to grow because we want to reach a global market. We're kind of the core group here in Detroit. But
aren't we lucky?
Yeah. All the fun starts here. But then our mission is to help people to help themselves, to become self-empowered. And believe me, if you don't know this already, the world needs more self-empowerment, right? There's a ton of blame and complaining going on in the world. So we're trying to help people turn that around. So our mission statement is, the Billionaires Club is a Detroit area-based meetup group created for the purpose of exploring leading-edge spiritual self-empowerment concepts such as law of attraction, higher consciousness, and energy. So everything that we do is intended to be forward-focused, supportive, inclusive, and positive in nature. And our members of the group here are encouraged to take responsibility for everything that they attract into their lives. If you can get to that point where you know that everything that has come into your life, you own, you created that, you will be free. That's the end of the story. If you can get to that point without having somebody to blame or something to blame or some reason that you're not feeling good, and you can own it without self-judgment, that's it. That's how law of attraction works. That's what's actually going on. Getting you guys to believe it, getting us to even believe it, sometimes it's a little difficult because it doesn't look that way. But that's what we're going to talk about tonight, how to get that ownership back in your hands so you can believe it and assume it and start creating the life that you want. Our vision is to build a worldwide community of naturally influential, self-empowered, and self-responsible leaders. And by leaders, we don't mean somebody who necessarily runs for office, although it could be, or starts a company, and that could be too. But a leader means that you're a leader of yourself. Right? You're taking charge, your responsibility of yourself. And when you do that, you follow this alignment. We'll talk about this today as well, the emotional scale. You get into alignment, you're channeling this energy through you, you're radiating it, you're becoming an example for people around you to find a better way, find a way that empowers themselves. So we do it first, and then we become the example for others. And then everybody wins. So a little housekeeping. Let's turn our cell phones off or put them on quiet, stun, vibrate, pleasure mode, whatever you like.
That's the vibrating part.
Just careful where you put it. Well, we want to see smiles on your face. As I mentioned, the meeting is live on Facebook right now. The iPad in the back is recording, so don't worry, it's still being broadcast within our closed group. It's not going out to the world, at least not yet. And we also put it on our YouTube channel later in the week, too, if you want to play that back. What we're going to do today, we'll talk about some manifestation success stories. We like to talk about the wins that people have. If you've got a win, something that happened where you know you were intentional about something, and it happened, but it wasn't because of action you took necessarily, or the action was inspired, kind of carried you along, and you got something you didn't expect, or even bigger than what you expected, please share it. Dave, are you ready to get started now? Can you wait just 1 second, and then you can be first?
Yay! All right.
I love that.
Yes, eager.
Faith has been on some exciting adventures over the last few weeks. So we like to start off that way because it helps you guys who are new to this, and seasoned ones also, see how easy it is to actually create your own reality. Okay? You are the creators of your own reality, but when you become deliberate, you know how to do it, then magic starts to happen. Now we'll get into the topic, listening to the still small voice within, which is one of my favorite subjects because I'm still working on it. I like to write these things that I need to work on because I get to play with them here with you guys, and then I get the benefit of learning from you guys as well. We'll talk about whatever we need to talk about. Like I said, the law of attraction is kind of at the core, but it's all about spiritual self-empowerment. So whatever we got to talk about that help you guys feel better and start attracting what you want, then we'll talk about. We'll do a wrap-up at 8 o'clock sharp, and then open networking. So talk to you guys, talk to each other. If anybody lights up for you, talk to them because there's a law of attraction connection there. Just start trusting your gut. That if you want to talk to somebody, go ahead and do it. We got cookies outside and we got the water there, so help yourself. Any questions before we get started? Guys all in the right place?
And if you do have a question or you want to just make a comment or something, I'll be running over to you, and be sure we're going to I'll hold the mic close to your mouth or you'll hold it close to your mouth, because if it's down here, you can't hear. But if it's up here, it's good. So I'm not trying to shove it down your throat, but definitely it's helpful, especially because now we're doing recordings, so keep it close.
All right, I think Faith was eager to share a law of attraction success story, manifestation.
I know, and she jumped right up. We'll go back here. Stand.
Hi, everybody. I was diagnosed not that long ago with chronic lymphocytic leukemia, and I'm at stage 0, but it doesn't matter, right? When you hear the big C word, you're kind of like, right? So I had been talking to Kevin and, talking to my inner voice and saying, this is not my story. you know, there's a message behind this, and this is important that I'm hearing this, and I guess I needed to kind of get the whammy to listen, but this isn't for me, and this is something that's not going to stay, and I'm going to get rid of it, and, you know, I'll do my walk to get rid of it, right, but I know that I'll get rid of it. So my son and I decided we're going to Arizona on this really cool trip. And he's 20, so to get a 20-year-old to go with you is kind of cool, right? So anyway, when I had written Kevin, I don't know, he mentioned something in a picture maybe before I left, and he said, you know, I know that this cancer is leaving you on this trip. Well, I haven't showed him yet, but there's a picture of me when we're like mile 3, really hot, down at the bottom of the canyon, right? And I'm standing there, you know, and I'm like, okay, Grant, take my picture. And so he takes my picture, and on my thigh is this thing that looks like alien. I am not joking. It is the weirdest thing. And I showed my twin, and she was like, well, was there like water near you, or was there a reflection, or what is that? And I said, no, there really wasn't. And I said, you know, I'm 57, so there's some gross crap on your skin and legs, right? But no, that's not what it was. I mean, it's like a 3D thing. Wow. And it's on my thigh. And so I'm saying that's the cancer that was leaving me.
Oh, wow.
And I know it.
What a great visual. Good job, Faith.
Fantastic, way to go.
You will get signs like that. And cancer is just, like all illnesses, it's just it's the manifestation of chronic thought, stress, anxiety, things that we ignore. You know, I had a brain tumor in 2008. It was a result of some tremendous stress I've been hanging on to for many years, which I didn't know. I didn't know this stuff at the time. But it's just as easy to reverse any illness, even a terminal illness, if you can get to the vibration underneath that caused it, the thought process that caused it. And Faith has been doing tremendous work on herself. You know, you told me about just changing her attitude, changing her approach, and not letting the illness own her, right? Detaching from it and just doing things that lit her up. And I don't doubt for a second that that's actually what was happening. The illness will leave your body. We know lots and lots of people who have released stage 4 cancer, for instance, and fibromyalgia, diabetes, all sorts of things. In fact, our assistant Katie was just posting, I think it was just last week maybe.
This week.
Was it this week? Yeah, she's got diabetes and fibromyalgia and chronic, what's that, peripheral neuropathy in your feet. So she can't feel her feet, like when she walks. And just a couple of days ago, she's been doing this work. She was walking on a hot pavement, and all of a sudden, the feeling came back.
She felt the warmth for the first time in ages.
Yeah. And her diabetes is also reversing. She's sometimes the insulin that she takes is actually knocking her way down. It's sucking the sugar out of her system because her pancreas is starting to work again. It's doing the work as well. And you don't want to be taking insulin while your pancreas is working. Anyway, anything's possible. So I don't doubt for a second that Faith is going to be 100% before long.
Hey, Faith. I had something else I wanted to say, but just on top of that illness, I met Faith and I came to this church when I had been diagnosed with something called sarcoidosis, and I was really down. And it was affecting my eyes, and I had uveitis for like 11 months. But anyway, it was from a building I worked in. It was a negative energy building. It had mold in it. And I was around a lot of good people and a lot of love. And I swear love, that vibration is really great. I don't have that lymph node in my chest. I don't have uveitis. I don't have signs of that anymore. So another place of that. But so that was over 7 years and a lot of work and meeting cool people in this room and that. But that wasn't what I wanted. The new law of attraction was just a few days ago. I said to Kevin, money is flowing to me because I just had surgery twice for my hip and I'm self-employed. And it's been really tight. So I got my policy, my disability came through. Suddenly I got an unexpected check in the mail from a doctor's office, overage, no expectation. And I just got a very belated birthday present of $40 at Kroger's from somebody I would never have expected. All of that happened just now.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Nice manifesting.
So there's nothing random in the universe. This is a hard thing to get for first-timers. There's nothing random, there's no luck, there's no chance. It's all attraction.
And, you know, you can share little things, too. I love hearing the big stories. And I know that Supriya is going to share another really cool one. So little ones are fun, too. I was just out shopping a few days ago, and when it was really hot, and into my mind said, I should just stop at Costco. I had nothing on my list to go to Costco, and I really didn't even know why I needed to go there, but car just kind of just took me there, and I got in, I started wandering around, and there in the center were some storage, and this is a minor manifestation, but little storage containers, food storage containers, that they were sold out of over the holidays, and they said they were never getting them back in. And there was a whole bunch of them. So I bought a whole bunch up. But, I mean, what made me go there? But all I know is my intuition said, go this way. And there they were. It was a fun little find. I'd rather have the money, though.
Hi, everyone. Yes. I'm really excited to share this story, which happened like last weekend. Well, something really bad happened before that, and I don't want to go into the details, but I lost my baby bird of 80 years old, and each time something really bad happens, I just want to combat it with really, really positive. So I had this slide, and I was looking at Abraham Hicks' workshop, and it happened to have, you know, it was going to happen that weekend. And I'm like, I just looked at it like Thursday or Friday. I'm like, I'm going to this. So after work, Friday, it's late. I had a phone interview, and it just kept delaying, and I'm like, I'm still going. And I just found light, you know, I just thought that I'm just going to go. I had no plans, and I just texted Kevin and Suzanne, and they said you should go if you can. And they put it up on the Facebook, our club, if anybody else would want to go. But I'm like, I'm still going to go. And
This was in Chicago, by the way.
yes. I should have mentioned
That's
that.
okay.
I'm so excited. Yes, so they don't do the workshops here, unfortunately. But so it's time's passing by, and I'm trying to call the hotel, and they're like, you're going to have to check out. So I'm like, I should just look into other hotels. And then I'm like, I'm just going to pack my bag and leave. It was 7 or 8 o'clock already. That's late to leave without any plans. And I packed and I left. On my way, I'm hotel shopping and just calling different hotels and seeing like if I can get in. And everybody, like, I'm calling all the hotels, and they're like, oh, we just ran out. Like, I'm ready to reserve the hotel room. And they're like, the rooms just got all booked. So 3 or 4 times that happened, and I'm like, okay, it's no big deal. And then I'm like, I'm just going to do it my usual way. So I usually do it like hot wire, and so I did that, and I just did the same area where the conference was. And I'm like, okay. And turns out it's the same exact hotel that the conference was in. So it was so funny. I'm laughing out loud by myself. I'm like, this stuff works. It's so cool. So everything, not just that, there's so many things, because I don't want to go into every single detail, but everything lined up that day, and the 4.5-hour drive felt like 45-minute drive. And it was just, I had so much energy. Like, I got there 11:11, I touched the city, and really, like, I used to laugh at these things that just everything it's not coincidence, maybe it is, but it just lined up. Everything fell into place. Yeah. Everything happened perfectly. And I got a little late because I was right there, like 2 minutes away from where it was going to be in the hotel. And I kind of got lost in the convention center where that was not going to be there. So when I finally got there, I sat in the back, and I wanted to sit all the way to the front. So I talked to these guys who take the video of the program, and they're like, you know what we do after the first break? You can always, you know, if there's nobody took the reserved seating for the handicap, we just let people take it, so you can. So I sat in the very first row, and it was really cool. It was a very magical experience to see her talk in person, like right this close, and it was just amazing. So I
Nice
just
job.
wanted to share that.
Nice manifestation. Wow.
Thanks so much.
So talk about a string of synchronicities, right? Synchronicity, we use that word a lot in society, but which sometimes means things that coincidentally came together. Nothing coincidentally comes together. Everything comes by attraction, right? And Supriya's getting really good at being able to get in the moment, let go of the stress, the fear, the worry, that figuring it out, orchestrating it. You had a strong impulse, right? And you didn't shut it down with logic. You just let it come up and you followed it. And so you see how everything worked out for her as she kept doing that. Stop second guessing, just get into the moment and let the impulses come. That's the process. That's what we're talking about today. It's a great lead-in actually for the next step. One more thing?
Most importantly, like I met some awesome, awesome people, and I made new friends, and I spent all day with them, and they're tuned in right now.
All right. Hello, friends.
Hi, friends from Chicago.
Thank you for coming.
Were they from Chicago? Yes. Oh, okay.
Okay,
Cool.
excellent. Yeah, we've got some law of attraction friends in Chicago anyway.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Got one more? Okay. And then we'll make this the last one.
Okay, well, this is actually quite an old manifestation, but it's one of my favorites. When I feel I need to reassure myself, I always think back of this experience. But so when I think I was 19 at the time, I really wanted to go to Japan to study, and I studied Japanese in Holland, and there was this program to go. But so my background, my family didn't have any money whatsoever, neither did I. So I got in because I had, good grades, and I sort of lied about the money I had. And then I thought, well, I don't have enough money to buy a return ticket. I'll just buy one way, and it will be fine. Something will work out. I'll be there for a year, and if I get deported, then I'll be home too. So it doesn't matter. But I knew I really wanted to go, so it should be, something will work out. And then I got in Japan, really lived on very little food and everything, but I was so happy. It was great. And then I think a few months before I had to go back, I started wondering about, I should probably get a ticket by now or something. And there was really no one I could ask. And then it was the second semester. I got a scholarship, which I didn't apply for. I didn't do anything, but apparently someone else, like the teachers, they put in for me. So I was like, okay, well, now I can go home. That's fine. Yeah, so, I didn't even think of applying for a scholarship myself. But it was like, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll take that.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Nice job.
It's really nice.
And here you are, right?
Yeah.
You got home.
Now I'm here.
Yeah, good job.
Good job.
Thank you. So you can hear a common theme there in this, right? You just knew that it was going to work out, right? You just bought a one-way ticket, right? Knowing that you'd be home, right? It's that inner knowing. Now, we all have it, right? But we just don't trust it, right? Or at least for me, I'm a very in-my-head kind of guy. I get that logic and reasoning going, get practical. Well, that's not going to work out, so ignore it. But when you get into that flow, things have to work out, because everything that we want, all the desires, we have created in advance. Believe it or not, you're creating those desires as you move through life. They become part of this broader part of our own being. We call it the inner being, but it's a conscious part of us that's not in the body but flowing into the body as we allow it to or not. We're sort of the valve. But because this is at we call it a multidimensional or non-physical level, it has views that we don't have. And it is us, so it's trying to always bring us towards the things that light us up. Right? It's always on our side, but we just don't typically listen because it's quiet. It's the still small voice within. Right? If you got a chattery head, then you can't hear the voice. Right? And then we get into logic and reasoning, and we get into fear and panic because things aren't working out. We try to make plans based on the past, and that's all linear. Right? The future's unfolding in any direction. Right? So only this bigger part of us can see the whole thing and gives us the guidance. So it's just collapsing time into the present moment and then stepping into each impulse in faith and let it unfold. Question, comment?
I was just going to share my little story.
Okay, if you can do it quick. Yep.
My daughter was in Alaska and got engaged.
Alaska, you said?
Alaska and got engaged, decided to do a destination wedding in Florida, of all places.
Wow.
So I recently made a trip down there, primarily to start balls rolling, finding locations, caterers, etc. So I had a whole list of places to go, and one of the places I was interested in finding for myself was a place to live. I wanted to be there ahead of time. I wanted a home. I wanted stability. So I had set up several appointments to go visit some homes that were for rent. And the very first home I went to, the very first day I was there, the cleaning lady was there, and we got to talking. And she said to me, I know a guy who's been in this area for 24 years, who's a realtor. How about if I get in touch with him? Well, of course, in my head, I'm thinking, yeah, we'll see when that happens. I was a half an hour away from the house, got a call from this guy. He's lived in this area for 24 years. He spent all of the holiday weekend, holiday day with me, driving around to flower shops, caterers, hair, makeup, set an appointment up for hair. Actually, we've now developed a relationship in text, and out of nowhere, that's the first story. Second story is I have been working diligently to become debt-free. And I was anticipating taking a step towards that process this next week, and was anticipating bringing my checkbook and writing some checks. Well, a variety of things, it doesn't matter all the details, but while I was anticipating writing checks, I got news yesterday that I don't have to write any checks. I'll be receiving some instead.
Oh, wow. Nice.
All right, way to go.
You got it figured out. So there's another story of trust, right? You trusted the process,
Yeah.
you stepped into it, right? You didn't logically try to counter it with reason. Yeah, don't use reason. You have guidance instead. Good story.
Allowing, letting it come in.
I love these stories. This is one of my favorite parts of these meetings, is because we get to hear your real life stories, your experiences. We have our own, of course, which we live our lives by this as well. But it's so wonderful to hear how things unfold for you guys.
We love hearing yours because we know ours.
That's right. We know ours. So let's get into the main theme, listening to the still small voice within. This month we're going to do something a little bit different than we've done before. I was having coffee with Lori last week, I think it was, or earlier, even this week, and we were talking about the subject, and she had this strong impulse, like very strong impulse, that there was something that she could share to start this conversation off with, as a personal experience she's had. And she wrote actually a poem about this, and it's a perfect lead-in for us to discuss this subject. So I'm going to have her come up and read this, and then we'll talk about it and see where it takes us in terms of understanding.
So the serendipity of this was that I wrote this in 2003. I'm a psychologist. I wrote it for myself, but I use it in work all the time because it's to get people to listen to their inner guidance, because I do it, put spirituality into the work. And I wrote this because was my something personal, struggling with something and trying to capture it, something I knew. And I don't have to say what that is because it doesn't matter, because I think every one of you might have had a day in your life where you're in bed in the quiet and the still, and you listen to your inner voice and it comes out, and some part of you wants something and another part of you knows something different. So this is what this is about. And I named it The Devil at the Wheel. The illusion, the phantom, the devil, the seductive, destructive force gnawing at your soul, tugging hard to steal away your strength, compelling you to relive ingrained patterns of pain over and over again, casting doubt on what you know. With cunning deception, you see what's not there, tricked into believing lies and dismissing the light of voice, or the voice of light deep inside. Yes, okay. But the body rebels, signaling loud warnings to rid the poison and free your soul. It wrenches the gut and pounds the heart to expel the source of pain. Deep within the body is the protective soul of true love, weakening at times from the stronghold of desire, the mirage of want. The gut tells all. The light of wisdom never dies, but may flicker under the strong whirlwinds of want, desire, fantasy, and ego. That sick feeling keeps us awake at night, signaling distress that core values and needs are endangered, prodding us to hear the voice in the silence. That voice is all-knowing, all-loving, and protects our true being. If only we would listen. The deepest pain signals us to listen even harder. At the same time, it escalates the power and curse of illusion, passion, and wishful thinking, a war of trickery and deceit against the congruency and peace of true self. Tossing and turning, gnawing and churning, finally the poison gets expelled. Calm takes over. The battle is done. Our body, our gut, our wisdom, our soul, these are the true soldiers of our precious peace.
Nice. Nice job, Lori.
Thanks, Lori.
Powerful stuff. Talk about coming from a real life experience, right? And in 2003, you didn't know anything about the law of attraction or any of the stuff we're talking about, right? Yeah, not then.
No.
Right? You know, I didn't know about it then. And yet you just captured the battle that we all go through, right? The logic, the fear, what we should be doing, staying in a relationship, doing this thing or that thing, when we know we shouldn't be there, right? We got that inner guidance that's constantly telling us to move forward or to move out, whatever it is, but we ignore it. But then it just has to get big enough to where it forces the hand, right? And that's what we want to prevent. And that's the journey here, is to get resensitized to that emotional guidance that we have. And that's what it is, as we talk about it all day long, and that's what this emotional scale is about. Emotional guidance is the communication from that broader self. Okay? Your emotions are always telling you if you're going in a direction that's going to bring you stuff you want or stuff you don't want. It's a constant thing. Every thought that we shoot out resonates inside of us in this solar plexus region. It's a nerve cluster that literally is picking up and creating emotions in the body. And it's telling us all the time, are you in resonance with yourself or not? Are you heading towards something that you're going to attract more of that you'll like, or are you heading away from it? Always there. But our society doesn't acknowledge it. And so what does the society do? They tell us to ignore it. Ignore your feelings, right? Don't get angry, certainly. We don't want to see any of these emotions down here, so we numb them, right? We don't like to experience them either. They feel terrible, right? Nobody likes to be down here in depression and grief and fear, right? So if you don't know how to deal with them, then we numb them with alcohol, with drugs, with shopping, with food, right? But those emotions are guidance. They're telling us what's going on, that what we're doing is going in a direction that is not good for us. And the law of attraction is just a mirroring effect. All it does is whatever vibration, the energy that we're sending out based on where we're putting those thoughts is being reflected back. Everything moves through attraction. Right? Everything. There's nothing random in this universe, anywhere. Nothing is random. Everything moves through the attraction process. So if it's in your life, you attracted it. In every moment, you attracted it. Okay? It may seem like somebody else is doing it to you. Right? It may seem like it's the government, right? It might seem like, the laws are, aren't fair. It may seem like, your neighbor is, being a mean guy to you or something, but you attracted all of that. Why? Because you were already in the frequency, the vibration of the feelings that you're having right now. The manifestation is a reflection of the feelings that you've already been having. There's always a momentum factor in play. There's always this momentum moving. And it's always at whatever frequency you're predominantly vibrating at. So the secret is just to disconnect what's in your life from how you feel about it, right? Because you control your thoughts, right? Does anybody not control their thoughts? I don't. You don't control your thoughts? Who controls your thoughts? Yeah. I've heard people say that you think their thoughts are thinking you, right? And it feels like that, and the reason is because momentum picks up. Because guess what? Thoughts don't live in the brain. Right? This is a radio receiver. Thoughts are part of this non-physical consciousness. We're receiving thoughts based on the vibration we're sending out. So law of attraction receives the thoughts based on the vibration we're putting out. Now, we synthesize things. We create new things from the thoughts. So what happens is if we don't realize what we're doing, we start thinking 17 seconds later, another thought stream on this, whatever frequency we're on, will show up. And if we don't change, then another one shows up. If we don't change, another one shows up until we got this chaos going on. It's law of attraction. It's the momentum factor that builds up because we didn't stop the process. So it's our job then to interfere with that process. When we start to feel not good, then we have to do something about it. So that's the trick. You got to care how you feel. You got to be aware of what's going on in here. And if it doesn't feel good, stop. Whatever you're doing, stop in the moment. And figure out something else to do. We don't necessarily say figure out what's going wrong, because if you do that, you're thinking about what's going wrong, and you're attracting more of that. So what we want to do is interfere with it, and then have another process to put into place. And typically, you want something to distract yourself. Meditation is really good, walking in nature. If you have a list of positive aspects, of appreciation, things that will bring you up here spontaneously on a different subject, use that. Sleep. Every night you sleep. You get a reset. You stop thinking. Right? Because you're not conscious, you're not thinking, you're not attracting. So the attraction stops when you go to sleep. So every morning you get a reset. And guess what? When you wake up, you're up here. And the reason is because the whole rest of you, the 99%, which is non-physical, is up here. It's your kind of your guiding light. So when you're not thinking yourself down the scale, you float up, by definition. Because this is just the gap between that higher part of you, that inner being, loving infinite presence, and what you're thinking in the moment. So when you stop thinking, you float up. So you get a reset every night. So every morning, do something to start the momentum in this direction. Again, we say meditation's a great thing to do. Quiet your mind for 10 minutes. In fact, I just found an app I'd had on my phone for a year. I was telling Kathy this, I think, called Headspace. Okay? Some of you guys, I see smiles here. Okay? Really good app. Best meditation app I've ever come across. I have a hard time meditating. I have a very chattery mind. Right? It's really hard to shut that thing off. And I meditate every morning. I mean, I go through the motions, and sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And I found this app maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago. Actually, there was a podcast. Remember, our friend's son is doing a podcast they called Catching Z's. Some Z's, yeah. Yep. His last name starts with a Z. And it's about meditation. These are like college kids. You know, gives you hope for the future. So this app takes you through a 10-minute meditation. You just put it on. It's this Australian guy, very soft, gentle voice. He's just magical voice. And he's a seasoned master meditator. And he has a way of getting you from your body to your breath to the sounds back to your body again in a way that you just don't notice it. In 10 minutes, it's just gone like that, and all of a sudden you're relaxed. So get that. It's a free app. And the first 10 days or something are free. I don't remember where it ends. I loved it so much I went and bought a year subscription to all the different meditations because it was so good. So get Headspace or something to practice this. Okay? Does that make sense? I said a whole lot here. Guys, I'll leave some airspace for you guys to talk.
You know, some people don't realize how powerful the momentum aspect of law of attraction is, because really, the longer you think on a subject, and you'll know what you're thinking according to your emotions, if it's feeling good or not, the more powerful, it's just bringing back more and more thoughts centered around that emotion. And that's why eventually, and it's usually when you're thinking thoughts that you don't like, things that aren't feeling good, that you'll notice like you feel like your thoughts are, you know, in control. It's because the momentum gets stronger and stronger. You ever tried walking down a hill, a really steep hill, and in the beginning, you're just going slowly, and all of a sudden you're going so fast you can't even stop yourself, and you might just fall down? That's the power of the momentum behind the law of attraction. Again, the longer you focus on a topic and you feel that emotion, it gets stronger and stronger. The thing is, we don't when it's really feeling good, we're excited. We don't think, oh, my thoughts have got control of me. But when it's feeling bad, now you think it does have control, which is bringing up a question.
One of the something that went through my mind when you're talking about that is the power of the momentum when you start thinking and you get caught up in a negative vibrational pattern, and realizing that this is something you've been doing for a long time, and you see yourself slipping back into it. And I've realized this through other forms of traditional therapy, psychotherapy, even 12-step programs, that the basis of a lot of their modalities are to go back into the past and replay it over and over again, where you feel anger. And there's I thought there was some benefit. I must get to understand my history, know who I am, but there's not getting to the other side of it. You know,
Good point. Very good point.
How do I it's easy to go there.
Yeah.
It's comfortable. It's natural. And you tap into it, oh, I forgot how mad I was. You know, and you're mad at something that happened when you were 10 years old. And part of what I'm finding now is that when they talk about becoming a deliberate creator, that's the challenge right there for me, is when I'm feeling that, how do I deliberately set a course to not go back and beat that drum? where I can create the thoughts and the feelings that are going to create the kind of life for myself that I want to have, and build momentum on that.
Yeah, it's a great question. And you touched on something, it's Tom, right? Yeah, you touched on something about traditional therapy, and Lori and I have actually talked about this. And every modality is an evolution of the previous modalities. And psychotherapy and so forth were invented, 100 years ago or something like that. Real powerful for the time. And now with the greater awareness in coaching and law of attraction, some of those are now outdated. And going back and digging around in the past is one of them. Right? There can be an advantage sometimes, there's sometimes advantage of turning and facing right into the problem, because often it's avoidance of the pain, which we know is there, but we just want to keep away from it because it's so painful. And it helps to have a therapist or somebody who knows to do like inner child work, for instance. I went through some of that in the last year and a half or so. Very powerful stuff. You got to be with somebody who really knows how to do it, but they help you get in touch with the part of you that's actually hurt and still and protecting itself. And you open that up and empower that part, and then all of a sudden the problem goes away, because it's the fear of the problem. There's no problem there, right? It's the past. It's the memory of it. So that's one possibility. But digging around in it, there, as you said, and I've done it many times, that's why I got a brain tumor, was because I was very good at being so upset at this person, that person, this thing, that, always somebody who wronged me. I was always the victim in that circumstance. And that's where it accumulated, was in a non-cancerous, thankfully, brain tumor. So all the things we've been talking about today are ways to do this. So shining a light on the fear is really the best way. Focusing on where you want to go when something comes up. I found for me, because I tend to be kind of intellectual about things, and it's the scientist, engineering part, understanding how it works has been really helpful, because then I can see all those people who hurt me in a different light. They're all hurting, right? I am their mirror. They're upset at me because they're upset at themselves. I'm upset at them because I'm upset at myself. Whatever pisses us off about somebody else, we don't like about ourselves. Right? So you can look that one and say, please.
Good psychologists who might be involved, and I haven't put a lot of spirituality into my work, you have to go in the past if somebody's avoiding it and stuck. If all those negative beliefs are roaming around that are so thickly in there, without help, you're stuck in a little kid mode. So I think this is an evolution coming out of when you get better and better and you say, I don't have to believe that garbage. That's not my stuff. You separate yourself out. So it is a foundational thing. Rotten therapy keeps you stuck in therapy forever. But I hate when people generalize and say, I won't say hate. I had to say this.
Go ahead, say it.
Because good psychotherapy and good psychologists don't keep you stuck. You go in it to address where you are and then try to move from it, but you can't just avoid it either. So this is the next step. And I'm using both. And the other day I had an interaction with my dad, and I had to call Kevin, and I'm like, I have to vent. And I'm like, but I'm aware that venting is keeping me in it. But I have to vent because I had to get it out, and if I didn't vent it, actually I wasn't trusting. I went to the pool, and I could have let it go faster. So I'm getting better at going, okay, there's that anger and the hatred and the rage and the everything, angry. And then I wanted to look how bad he was. I just want to show you what I go through. And then I went, I'm just going to go to the pool, And I switched it out. But if I didn't have a lot of practice, I might not get where I might be resisting it. So
practice.
If that helps. Yeah.
Yeah, it is definitely practice. And the first step is awareness that it's even happening, as you were saying. Yeah. Right? Because we're used to putting up with pain, right? We're used to suffering, right? And having that, I used to have that knot in my stomach all the time. Right?
Once you have the awareness, if you allow yourself to, when was the last time I felt that way? And you do get back into, when I was 10 years old, I had a different situation, same feeling. When you finally have that awareness, and now you know, thank God you're not that child anymore, and that person was doing the best they could at that time. I mean, it's just all old stuff, but then each time when you get triggered again, you can quickly, if you allow yourself to, it's just that old thing. I'm so glad I recognize it. You wanted to say something? Okay, hang on. So they can hear.
This is a tool that I picked up recently. And it was as I started getting into the law of attraction and meditation and vibrational frequency that I was in a bookstore and he had this tuning fork, and I purchased it.
Yeah, I love it.
And the thing I love about this, it's always the same. It's always the same. It's always consistent. I could throw this against the wall. I could throw it out my car. I could pick it up. It'll always be in tune. So I carry this around with me to remind me of alignment and being in frequency and being in tune. This goes to me. I take this to work with me. I bring it to the gym with me. I look like the weirdo nut carrying this around, but I don't care, because it works. And I feel it. I feel it vibrating right now. And this is a reminder to me about how everything has a vibration and has a vibrational frequency, and we're not in tune. That's when I'm stuck. I'm thinking those thoughts. And this kind of helps pull me back into alignment.
It's a great awareness. I love that analogy.
Yeah. And I can touch I feel it running through my body. It's powerful. And it's calming, so.
I love that. Here, let me see. Oh, I feel it too.
That's right.
Wow. Yeah, this is a wonderful little tool to help ourselves remind ourselves of what it feels like to be in alignment.
And there's another part of that. If you have a room full of tuning forks on the same frequency, you hit one, they'll all start vibrating at the same frequency.
Same thing with people.
Right?
That's why
It's
when
just-
you're up high in the
exactly.
scale, you can help raise the other people up.
So that's why when you're in one of these frequencies, I think Mary Ellen had something, keep away from people. That's another thing you can do. Right? We tend to vent to people, and it's okay if you have somebody who's trained to listen, right, who won't engage in the energy. You find somebody who can hold the high frequency for you when you vent, and that's what Lori was doing. I hold the frequency. I hold the knowing of her own inner being and what the broader view sees, and I just hold that space so eventually she can get through it and she can find it herself. So I become, and this is an exponential scale of power, of influence too. Every one of these notches doubles in flow through you. So this is like a 4 million to 1 ratio here, right? If you can hold this space for anybody, then they will either have to find it in your presence or they have to leave, because law of attraction will not keep you together, right? It won't allow that to happen. So this is a gift that when you give it to yourself, then you can give it to other people.
You still have a comment, Tina?
I happen to be a licensed social worker that been in therapy for years, and I agree with you that a good psychologist will move you from past to the present. And for me, what I found was that going back and growing up with alcoholic family members had a profound effect on my life, and it was like we don't realize that sometimes there's this program that's running in the back of our life that's influencing how we behave, what we say, and we're not aware of it. So I found that going through those years of increasing my awareness gave me a great deal of relief, and also it gave me an opportunity to forgive people, knowing that they were doing the best that they can do. They just didn't sit down and say, I'm going to make Tina's life a living hell. And then I had to forgive myself for unconsciously doing some things. And then once I got to that greater awareness and started feeling my feelings and not numbing myself, as a matter of fact, I would check out, like lose moments of awareness, like show up somewhere and didn't know how I got there, because that was a defense mechanism that I used when things got too intense. I would just disappear. So once I got to knowing that I was checking out, I can change that behavior. So now that that's all cleared up and I've built a really solid foundation, emotional foundation for myself, it's okay to know that I can feel all my feelings. When my family members that are still in denial, like, no, don't cry. I'm like, oh no, hell yeah, I'm gonna cry. That really hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
But when I get angry now, something that you were saying, like, what do you do with that? What I found was going on a thankful rampage is one, talking about all the things I'm thankful about. But I found this one tool that was like, it's been really, really great for me to get